Hey guys, how's it going? Today I want to show you how to clean and sharpen your pruners. This is definitely going to be geared toward Felcos. These are my Felco 2s. This is my preferred pruner. And not all pruners are built the same, which I'll share my thoughts on that later on in the video. I kind of want to get right into the cleaning though. Look at how bad these are. So they were bad, like a little bit rusty. There's some sap on them before I pruned my tomatoes, and then this is what they look like after I pruned my tomatoes. They're a complete mess. Like if you were to put them up against a brand new clean pair of Felcos, look at that. They need some serious attention. So actually, let me run through the things I'm going to be using today. I've got several different items. I've got my hot soapy water here, an SOS pad, and just this, it's kind of like a soft, I guess it's not that soft. It's kind of a stiff wire brush right here. And then I've got a couple of tools to get a couple of these screws out. There's a 7mm socket, and this is a 5/16 inch nut driver. And then I've got a sharpening tool, some synthetic grease. This is a hydrophobic grease. Any hydrophobic grease will do. And then this is a 980 lubricating spray, which is actually the first step here. So let's just get right into it. This right here helps target all of that junk on your pruners, like your rust and your sap and all of that. So I'm gonna I've got my roll of paper towels down here. So put a little base of paper towels down here. And then we're gonna spray all over this thing, and we're gonna let it soak for like 10 or 15 minutes. Probably should let them soak for like 20 minutes with how bad they look. Okay, first step is complete. Now we wait. All right, so it's been a little bit over 15 minutes, and what I'm gonna do is just take a paper towel and just kind of lightly wipe off some of this excess grease that we've sprayed on here. And I think some people use like WD-40. There's some other kinds of lubricating grease out there. This is called 980. I think I already said that. I'm not sure. I'm not worried about getting a bunch of this stuff off right now because we are going to be soaking each one of these parts and really taking after them with, you know, these cleaning tools here. And what I'm showing you today is kind of a full-on hard clean. Like this is the type that you do like maybe once or twice a year, depending on how much you use them or how much you neglect them. Like, I mean, these are pretty bad. I've not cleaned these for quite a long time. If you're doing just like a quick clean, you can just clean the blades and sharpen it right as is without taking it apart. But it's good to do this every once in a while just to lubricate everything back up, just so you make sure it stays really nice. So we are gonna take all of these parts off by first using the 5/16 inch nut driver, and we're going to take this screw out here, and this screw holds on the locking segment. Looks like a little claw. I'm going to try to keep all my parts really organized. So there's that little screw right there. Here's the locking segment. See how that looks like a little claw? And that keeps the center bolt in place and keeps your adjustment really tight. And then we're going to take the center bolt off. That's what it looks like. And the center bolt holds this catch plate in place. And the catch plate holds keeps the thumb catch. So like to open and close your Felcos. So that's what that does. And so at this point, I can just go ahead and knock this center bolt out. Oh, I need to take the spring off too. Hold on, take that off. So I've got the bolt out. Oh, look at that. So dirty. And I can also take the blade off like that. Look at that. That way we can get all the way in here. We can grease this back up in the center. And then we can also soak all of these parts. I need my paper towel again. Just making a huge mess. And I'm also going to take the thumb catch off today. You don't necessarily have to do that, but I feel like since I'm going to the effort of taking this all the way apart, I may as well go the whole distance. I'm going to be using a 7mm socket for this one to get it off. Oh, for crying out loud. There we go. So this is just held on by a little screw right here. There's the thumb catch, and then what you probably didn't see because it came flying toward me is right underneath this thumb catch, there's this little spring washer. Super important part to keep a hold of. You have to have that in there. That's what keeps everything kind of together and tight. And keeps it functioning properly. Okay, let me get these wiped down a little bit more. Now that everything's off of them. And I'm not so concerned about like really scrubbing these down. I'll probably give them a quick clean, but I want to soak all of these parts and then just take after them and see how much of this junk I can get off. You usually can get them down pretty good and pretty clean. I won't get them down to like, you know, what these brand new pruners look like. And that's okay. We just want them to be fairly clean. So I've got really hot soapy water sitting here. So I'm just gonna set these in here and I'll probably let them soak for another 10-15 minutes and then we'll start scrubbing on them. You know, while these pieces are soaking, I'm gonna go ahead and give all of these little pieces just a light clean because I was looking at this bolt and there's like black grease kind of settling down beneath it. And I want clean and dry parts to deal with in the end. So I'm just gonna kind of dunk each one of these. Oops, the wind's kind of blowing a little bit. Give them a quick once over and then let them dry. They've been soaking for a little over 15 minutes now in this hot soapy water. All of my little parts are clean right here, so I'm gonna scoot these to the side because I need to do some scrubbing. And I think I'm gonna stand up for this part so I have the right leverage. And hopefully we'll be able to get them pretty clean. Oh yeah. Already so much better. Oh, that's satisfying, isn't it? That looks like, look at that. That looks like new, almost. Okay, so this is the anvil portion right here. This is the bottom part of the clipper. This piece is pretty much done. I don't even think I can improve on that much. Try this a little bit. Oh yeah, got a little bit more. Oh yeah, that looks amazing. And that's the side that holds the blade on. And now the blade itself. Clean my nails while I'm at it. Okay, I think I've got the blade as good as I'm gonna get it today. I mean, I could soak it for a lot longer, but I can't even feel that. That's like staining right there because I left it for so long. I mean, so you could do hot water, do some more scrubbing and try to get more of that off, but it's feeling really smooth and looking a heck of a lot better than it did before. So let me get everything set back up and we will put our pruner back together. Everything's cleaned and lined up, ready to be put back together. What we're gonna do is we're gonna start with the bottom part of this pruner. So this is the anvil side. It's just like a solid, like kind of just flat bottom because these are a bypass type pruner, so there's just the one blade. So you'll notice on the interior part, there's like this little well. This is where we're gonna put the hydrophobic grease. This is Felco's 990 grease. And I think I said earlier, you can use any kind of hydrophobic grease. What it does is it keeps moisture and rust from entering in, so it won't ever bind up on you. And this is just a part of like maintaining and servicing your tool so that you keep it for as long as possible and keep it in nice working order. So you just kind of want to put a nice layer of grease right in there. And then we are going to put our blade back on. So we're going to put the bolt through that part. And then we're going to put our blade, here. And then we're gonna work on lining these up. You'll notice that the bolt here has a square side right up here, like kind of past the threads. And there's also a square right here. So it kind of gives you a good indicator of how it should line up. Like that. See how it's just partially put together there? It's all lining up real well. It's not very tight though. You can see that it's all loosey-goosey still. So now we can set it to where the bolts, you can see the end of the bolt here. We can start assembling everything back together. So I'm going to put the catch plate on first, right in the center here. And then this little spring washer, and that goes right underneath the thumb catch. So then we'll put our thumb catch on with the screw. Just line that up over the hole, just like that. And then we're going to use a 7mm socket again to tighten it. And at this point, well, let me hand tighten it a little bit first. You don't want it to be like super tight. You just want a little bit of resistance and you can adjust it as you go. Okay. A little too loose. Oop. That's too tight. You can tell right away when it's too tight when you try to, you know, mess with it with your thumb. Got to be able to move it. Okay, it's feeling a little better. Then we're going to put our center bolt back on, like that. Tighten that up. And again, we don't want this super, super tight. What we want to aim for when we're adjusting this is that the blade kind of falls in between these two rivets right here, because that's kind of where all of our cutting action happens. So that's where we want it to kind of be adjusted to. And it's just going to take a little bit of manipulating. So we put the locking segment back in. That's, again, it looks like the little claw, and it kind of just meets up. It's like a little cog. Is that what it's called? A little cog, like looking piece. Okay. Okay. So let's see how it falls. See how it falls like right in the right spot? That's a sweet spot right there. That's how you want it to adjust. So I'm going to tighten this down just a little bit. And then let's put our spring back in. Look at that. Thumb catch works great. I can open and close it with ease. It's super, super easy to take it apart. I know it seems kind of intimidating, and it does to me every time. Like getting ready for this video, I was like, oh boy, like, because you don't do it all the time. It's not an everyday task. So you're thinking, okay, I got to remember all the parts and how everything goes back together. When you take everything apart, it's a good idea to line them up as you take it out of the pruner, so that you can kind of remember how they go back in. But again, you can go onto the website and look at all the pieces and parts and kind of how they fit onto the pruner. There's a really good diagram there. So it makes it really easy. And doesn't that look night and day? Like night and day difference from what it looked like before. And again, it doesn't look perfect. I mean, because they're worn. Like I've been using these a lot. So of course they're going to have a little bit of wear and tear. They'll never look brand new, but they will work like they're brand new. So now to sharpen, we don't worry about the anvil part because again, that's not a blade. We're going to sharpen this piece right here. So you can see kind of like a secondary blade, like it kind of is sharpened down like that. So I actually watched one of the guys from Felco, how he sharpened his pruners, and he holds it like this because he said he gets just the best kind of grip this way. But what you want to do is you want to sharpen this end, and this is a 903 sharpening tool right here. And what you do is you just find your angle by kind of resting it right here on the upper part that's like holding the blade in, and that's kind of the proper angle. And then you just drag. You drag it across the blade. Got to anchor my hand down like that. And the most amount of pressure you can put on it, the better. Will sharpen a lot easier. Let me try to hold this differently. I'm not sure that you're able to see what I'm doing here. So let me figure this out. Hold on. So see, I'm holding it at about this angle here, using this as my guide right here. Ooh, it's definitely much more awkward to hold it this way, that's for sure. Again, just drag it along the blade with as much pressure as you can muster. Ooh. That's a nice edge. I love it. Sharp pruners just make the world a happy place. Make your job so much easier. So get it to a point where you feel like, yep, that's nice all the way from tip to end. And then flip your pruner over and then just drag this kind of flat, this sharpener kind of in a flat motion along the back, and that'll just clean up any kind of maybe jaggedness that has happened. That's perfect right there. That is just like one of the best sounds. I make Aaron listen to that all the time. Every time I get a new pair of pruners, I'm like, Aaron, listen, it sounds so good. So that's pretty much it to cleaning and servicing your Felcos. Very easy to do, night and day difference from when we started. They look so much better, they feel better. They'll never look like a brand new pair of Felcos, but I don't think that's a bad thing. I mean, I think it's good for your tools to look like you actually use them. And I think you can apply a lot of the same cleaning principles, at least, to whatever pruners you have. You know, you can soak just your whole pruners, you know, and clean them up sharpen the blade. Of course, if it's a different brand, it will not come apart and go back together the way these do. So keep that in mind. Many pruners aren't meant to do that. I mean, these are meant to do that so that you can really service your pruner, and then you can get extra parts if you need to. I mean, you can even replace the blade. Like, let's say you've really buggered your blade up and you've notched out a piece, maybe on a piece of wire. I do that every once in a while. I try to push the envelope with what my pruners can actually do, and I'll get a big chip out of my blade. And maybe you don't want to mess with, or you don't feel comfortable with filing the blade down to a point where it's, you know, really usable again. Just get yourself a new blade, take it apart, pop your new blade in, and you're good to go. So those of you guys who have been watching our videos for a long time know I have been using the Felco 2s for a really, really long time. In fact, I don't ever remember using another type consistently. We've tried out a ton. You know, my parents' garden center carries this brand, and they do carry other ones too, but everything I've tried just doesn't feel as good as these do for me. And that's the thing, you just want to be comfortable with what you're using. And I get some questions sometimes because Felco 2s, like on their packaging, they're labeled for large hands. I don't have particularly large hands. In fact, I wear a small size glove, but the 2s fit my hand really well. So what you need to do is, if you are down like looking for a new pair, they all look like this, hanging on the wall. And there'll be a whole bunch of different numbers of Felcos there. You can take them down, and the people at the garden center will encourage you to do this. You can slide the back off, take them out and try them, like see what they feel like in your hand and mess with them. You know, how does that feel? Does it feel like good from the get-go? You want to make sure that whatever size you get really feels great. In fact, I brought these up. They're really dirty. I'm going to clean them right after we're done here with this video. These are a fairly new size. This is the Felco 14. Look at the difference. If you have really small hands, this might be a really good option for you. I clearly use them a lot. I like them for smaller tasks, like finer stuff. I use them for deadheading, either one of these for deadheading, but I use these a lot for flower arranging because they're almost like, for me, a snip alternative. When I'm used to something bigger like this, they feel like just a smaller, more convenient size, like to use for just small stuff. And there's a bunch of different numbers like Felco 2, 6, 9, 14. I mean, there's a whole bunch of different numbers, and it can be a little bit confusing. So if you ever want me to put together a video, I've been thinking about this, like just going through all the different types that are out there and what they're good for, let me know in the comment section if you'd be interested in that. Because I've just learned a lot about different types, like this one being the bypass type, and having the solid bottom rather than having a blade, and what the difference is. Because there are some that are really good for like brush clearing and dead wood. They take a lot less effort to get through stuff that's really, really hard, and everything just has its own particular thing that it's really good for. So it's really interesting to learn all those different things, and you kind of look at all the other tools with a different eye because you're like, oh, I know why that blade is the way it is. That's what that tool is meant for. It's just very interesting. And these last forever, and that's the thing I really like about them. Unless you accidentally throw them away, which I've done before, or lose them somehow. I just don't know how you can break these. They were built like the old appliances used to be built. I mean, I know that I think, does both of our parents still have the old fridge that we grew up with, but it's been like demoted to the garage or the shed, and it now just holds like extra beverages or extra holiday dishes or whatever. Still running like a champ, but it's been upgraded for something that looks more modern, which the stuff that's built now just isn't built like it used to, and it doesn't last as long, but those old ones are just like still rocking. And that's what these are built for. They're built to be like the last pruners that you ever buy unless you lose them. So these Felco 2s are my favorite, and the ones I've been using for lots and lots of years. And of course, you know, there's a lot of different sized hands, a lot of different things that we're doing out in the garden, so something else might fit your hand a little bit better, like a different size. But I really like these quite a lot. So anyway, I hope this video was helpful, seeing how these come apart, how to clean them, and again, you can apply some of the same principles to whatever pruners you have. So anyway, thank you guys so much for watching this video, and we will see you in the next one. Bye.